Chapter 28 of Dyke Darrel. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Dyke Darrel, the Railroad Detective, or The Crime of the Midnight Express, by Frank Pinkerton. Chapter 28. The Revelations of a Satchel. "Hello, old man!" "Eh?" The man stopped, stared at Harry Bernard as if puzzled, and then began to grin. "I want to speak with you, sir." "Sortin' you can." "Who are you?" "Sam Wiggs o' Yonkers. What can I do for you, mister?" The old fellow seemed honest enough, and as Harry glanced at the dirty hands, he saw nothing to excite his suspicions. "Are you a relative of Mr. ——," naming the farmer who owned the place on which they stood. "Well, not as I knows on," laughing until his old head seemed ready to topple from his shoulders. "No blood relation anyhow, sir. You see, my wife's cousin's aunt's husband's brother Jerry was a cousin to Nicodemus Dunce, who, if I don't disremember, was related in some way to Isaacar Pete's wife's sister, and since she was this 'ere man's niece, or somethin' of that sort, but we ain't blood related nohow." "I should think not," answered Harry, and then he returned to the house, while the old man Wiggs proceeded unmolested on his way. "At a first glance he did resemble the man of the emigrant train strongly," muttered Bernard, "but I see now that I was mistaken." "Well, how did you make out, Harry?" This was from Dyke Darrel, who had been watching proceedings from the window. "A case of mistaken identity," answered the young man with a laugh. "I was sure I had found the right man when I saw that old chap crossing the yard, but it seems that I was mistaken." "Are you sure of it?" "I suppose I am." Dyke Darrel watched the retreating form of the old man with no little curiosity, however, until his bent form was lost to view down the winding road. Naturally suspicious, the detective more than half believed that the seemingly aged man had not come to the farmhouse for any good purpose. "I can't help thinking that Wiggs, as he called himself, is destined to give us trouble, Harry," the detective said, at length. "An inoffensive old man," asserted Bernard. At the same time, however, he was not fully content to let the matter rest as it was. "It might be well enough to watch the old fellow, at any rate," said Dyke Darrel, rising and walking twice across the room, peering nervously out of the window in the direction in which old Wiggs had gone. "Keep quiet, Dyke," said Bernard. "I will shadow the old fellow, and see if he is other than he seems." Bernard was on the point of leaving the room, when a youth appeared, walking swiftly toward the farmhouse from the direction of the station. One glance sufficed to show both men the genial face of the boy Paul Ender. "So you have Paul with you, Harry?" said the detective with a pleased smile. "He is my shadow, and I have found him true and brave," answered Harry, at the same time glancing toward Nell, who had told him of the lad's defence of her against the villain Elliston. "I can testify to his bravery," said the girl. "Paul and I are great friends." A minute later young Ender entered the presence of the trio, and deposited a black satchel in the middle of the floor. "I have committed a theft," said the boy, with a queer look on his face, "and I am here to throw myself on the mercy of the court." "You speak in riddles," said Bernard. "I've been on a bully lay, as the peelers say, and I believe I have made a discovery, although it may amount to nothing after all." "Go on." "I've seen the man with the red hair and beard." "When? Where?" "Over by the depot. I saw him go into an old outhouse with this satchel in his hand." "Indeed! Go on." "I was on the watch, and when he came out I saw not Brother Ruggles, but a lean old man, with white locks and beard, who seemed to walk with great difficulty." "Ah, indeed!" "He hobbled away, and failed to take the satchel with him. At first I could not believe that the sorrel gent and the old chap were the same. I learned this by investigation. When, after waiting a spell, and no sunset-haired gent came forth, I proceeded to investigate, and found this satchel, which, under the law of military necessity, I proceeded to confiscate, that the ends of justice might be furthered. If I have done wrong, I am ready to throw myself on the mercy of the court, and be forgiven." "You have done right," cried Dyke Darrel. "Have you opened the satchel?" "No, it is locked, and I haven't a key that will fit." Harry Bernard produced several keys, none of which fitted the lock to the satchel. "What are we to do?" cried Bernard. "The satchel is securely locked, and its owner has the key." "This is no time for ceremony or undue squeamishness," uttered Dyke Darrel. "We are on the eve of an important discovery, and I propose to make no delays." Then, drawing a knife from his pocket, the detective bent over the satchel and slit the sides at one stroke. "That will open it if a key won't," he remarked with a grim satisfaction. The contents of the satchel were a revelation. Red wigs and a complete suit of clothes, besides paints and powders. Harry uttered an exclamation. "Just as I suspected," uttered Dyke Darrel. "You made no mistake when you suspected that old man who just now left this vicinity. Doubtless he forgot his satchel, or else thought it safe until his return. Paul, my boy, you have done a good thing, and shall be promoted. We must now make it a point to intercept old Wiggs. Doubtless he has gone to the depot. How far is that from here?" 2 miles. "When does the train pass?" questioned Dyke Darrel. "I cannot say. Nor I. Ask the farmer's wife." Paul sped from the room. "The New York express goes in 10 minutes," said the boy, on his return. "In 10 minutes! Then we have no time to lose," cried Dyke, turning to the door. "Dyke, what would you do?" demanded Nell at this moment. "Capture your enemy and mine. But you are not strong enough to take the trail. Stay with me." He interrupted her with, "Nell, I never felt stronger in my life. I mean to put the bracelets on the villain's wrists with my own hands." "Dyke, leave it to me," urged Harry Bernard. But the detective's blood was up, and he would listen to no one. He was determined to be in at the death, and for the time his old strength seemed coursing in his veins. He hastened from the house, and ascertaining that a horse was in the barn, he at once sprang to the animal's back. "You are unarmed," said Bernard. "Yes, but " "Take this, I will follow quickly," and the young man thrust a revolver into the hand of Dyke Darrel. "Do nothing rash until help arrives, Dyke. Our game is desperate, and will fight hard if cornered." "I am aware of that, but I do not fear him. Ha! What is that?" "The roar of the train. Then time is short." The horse and rider shot away down the country road like an arrow or a bird. On, with the speed of the wind, and yet the lightning express made even greater speed than did the detective's horse. With a roar and a rush the train swept past. Too late! Dyke Darrel drew rein at the depot just as the train swept madly away on its course to the great city, and on the rear platform stood the old man who had peered into the farmhouse window but a short time before. It was an aggravating situation. "You can use the telegraph," suggested the depot agent, when Darrel unbosomed himself to him. "Quick! Send word to the next station, and have the man detained." The ticket agent went to his instrument and ticked off the desired information. A little later came the reply, "No such person on the train." A malediction fell from the detective's lips. Was his enemy to thus outwit him always? Chapter 28